Hello, welcome back to Curlington Stories. If you're new here, welcome to you too. Hope you brought yourself a snack or a drink or something. I have some lemonade with my wife's Beauty and the Beast cup. At least I think that's Beauty and the Beast. I should know, she has a Beauty and the Beast tattoo. Anyway, we're gonna be talking about two very interesting stories as per usual, but this time they're not really following a very similar theme. They're actually quite different, but they just both stood out to me and I was just like, I want to talk about them both, so that's what we're doing today. One of them is about the fabled and very, very controversial tipping culture in the United States, but it's a funny story and it's an interesting one and I know you'll enjoy it, so just hang tight. And secondly, we have a wife getting absolutely exposed at her bachelorette party for talking mad shit about her soon-to-be stepson. So without further ado, let's get on with it. Am I the asshole for recording my friend's fiance at her bachelorette party and playing the recording for him? Now, I know some of you might be a little bit confused initially. So the guy's friend here, the him in this equation, is a girl, I'm pretty sure. And this girl was invited to the groom's fiance's bachelorette party, okay? I was a little bit confused at first, but it took me a second. You know, I might be a little bit slower than you guys, but I got there eventually. And I thought I'd save you the headache in case it was a challenge for you too. I was invited to the bachelorette party for my friend's fiance. It was over the long weekend at a vacation rental on the beach. There was booze, a hot tub, great food. It was definitely a hit. At one point, I was on the dock looking at the ocean, and the bride was drunk in the hot tub with two of her friends. She said she felt more relaxed than she had in a while. I assumed she was referring to wedding planning. One of her friends asked if she was having trouble with the little monster. She said no, that he was manageable for now. At that point, I realized they were talking about my friend's son. I took out my phone and started recording them. I have to chime in here because it's a little crazy that like her first thought was, I'm gonna record this. Like nothing unhinged was said so far. If little monster could be endearing too, like all the little monster, you know what I mean? Like you could say that and totally mean no harm, nothing mean by it when you say that. And kids can totally be a handful. So like, I would understand if you're like, you know, it's nice to, you know, not have to take care of the kid for a little while. Like that's totally respectable, understandable. So I don't know what about her saying that tipped the friend off here to be like, I'm going to record this. Something tells me that this isn't the first time that she's caught the friend talking shit about the little monster, but we shall see. The bride's friend said horrible stuff about my friend's son, and the bride responded positively to everything, laughing and agreeing. Then she said that it was too bad he wasn't old enough to send to military school. I stopped recording when their topic changed. I don't think they ever realized I was close enough to hear them. When we got back, I asked to meet with my friend, and I played him the recording. He was quiet while he listened. After the recording was finished, he asked me to send it to him, which I did. Then he asked me to delete it, which I said I would do, but haven't yet. I felt like an asshole for interfering. I really do. However, I'm worried about my friend's son. Depending on what my friend does, I might need to send this recording to the poor baby's family. I feel like I've overstepped, but what else can I do? Was I being an asshole? Now we're going down two streets on this one, okay? One of them is going to be a little bit hypothetical, and one is going to be just taking things as they are. Now, we're going to start with taking things as they are. If everything this person said is true and accurate, good and true, as Liver King would say. No, I feel like if everything is as is written on this page, and you were just looking out for your friend, your friend's kid, and maybe you had a sneaking suspicion that this bride-to-be, you know, maybe shouldn't have been a bride-to-be for this father and son. And, you know, as a close friend, you might be able to sniff that out, you know, see things where your friend cannot. And I feel like there's nothing wrong with interfering a little bit like this when something is amiss, when something is definitely wrong, because there are horror stories of evil step parents. How would you know that this future bride or this future wife wouldn't treat this poor child like garbage, you know? Abuse this kid? You don't know, honestly. And if they're so comfortable talking so ill of a child, that's a genuine concern. Like, that's something seriously to be concerned about. So going that route, no, absolutely not. I think this person did the right thing, and it sounds like the future husband here took it well, as far as, you know, like didn't lash out at the friend or anything, and seemed very receptive of this information without, you know, trying to kill the messenger, which is nice, because some people would do that. You know, I've seen that sort of thing happen too, where they don't want you exposing their lover or whatever it is, and they take it out on you, even though you're just looking out for them. Now going down the more hypothetical route of a potential jealous friend here. Now, I doubt that's what she is, but people don't always tell the full story, and sometimes you gotta read between the lines a little bit. Again, I was suspicious about her starting to record right away as soon as she said the little monster comments. Like, that was basically it, like being a little less stressed. Like, that's a totally reasonable take. But then she's like, oh, I'm gonna record this. It's either she had a sneaking suspicion that she was going to say something bad because she's not a good person and she's done this before, or has implied that she didn't like the kid or something to tip the original poster off. Or she's just been trying to find any dirt on her to be like, haha, look, don't marry this bitch. I don't know if that's a possibility or not. Just something to consider. If we're being completely honest here, I think it's probably the first scenario. I think this is actually just a good friend looking out for their good friend. That's the vibe I'm getting. I just would never rule out the second possibility of jealous best friend. Now, I'll be honest, I read some of the comments and I feel like there's not really too much to talk about. A lot of them kind of said similar things to what I just said, so I feel like it's really not super important to go over them. So we're just gonna move on. Am I the asshole for taking back my tip after the waitress humiliated me in front of everyone? Now, like I said, this is a doozy. Get ready for it. All right, this occurred a few nights ago, and I just can't believe it happened the way that it did. My partner, 29F, and I, 32M, dined out at this Italian restaurant we've been to several times. It's not highly sophisticated, but pleasant enough that you get to sit down, order wine, and have a relaxed evening. Our server, let's name her Samantha, was kind of phased throughout. She lost my drink twice, served the wrong starter, and vanished for what seemed like an eternity when it arrived time to order dessert. It wasn't the end of the world. I've worked customer service myself, and I get that hectic nights go wild. However, service was really poor. When the check came, I paid and left a 10% cash tip. Not excessive, but not nothing either. I thought it was reasonable given the circumstances. We were just standing up to leave when Samantha came over, took the cash, and said, "Seriously? That's it?" She had said it audibly. A few people at some nearby table turned around and stared. I was taken aback. I didn't even know what to say first. Then she added, "You know servers can't pay their rent because of people like you? If you can't tip properly, don't dine out." The restaurant became totally silent, like sitcom silence. My girlfriend was wincing. I just remained calm and said, "Okay, sorry, you feel that way," and started to leave. Then, no kidding, she muttered, "Whatever, cheapskates," but loudly enough that it wasn't only for us. So I went back over, walked over to the table, took the tip, and left without another word. My girlfriend later informed me that I did fine with it, but one of my friends feels like I'd overstepped by insisting on getting the tip back, and no matter what, you just leave it and move on. I feel like to be scolded and humiliated on account of a 10% tip that I actually did leave is way out of bounds. So Reddit, am I the asshole for treating the tip after she yelled at us in front of everyone in the restaurant? Guys, my verdict here might shock you. It's a hot take. You're not gonna expect this from me, trust me. My response to this is no. You are not the asshole. No, obviously I was joking. That was obviously gonna be what I was gonna say. Nobody is entitled to a tip. Like, obviously tipping culture in the United States is a big talking point. It's a big controversy, a big topic. And obviously, yes, because of the way they are paid, which isn't technically the consumer's fault, servers are dependent on tips. They are. Like, you can't pay shit. Like, she had a point. She ain't paying her rent without tips. Like, it's just not happening. They are dependent on it. It is a necessity for them to be able to afford living. And unfortunately, that responsibility does fall on the consumer. However, you are not required to give a tip unless there's an automatic gratuity charge, which most places that do have it will always tell you that it's going to be there beforehand usually. But if it's a case where it's not an automatic gratuity and the tip is completely up to you, again, you're not required to tip. It's customary, it's expected, but it's not required. And the server has no right at lashing out at you for choosing not to do so. And even in this case, it's not that this person didn't tip, they just didn't tip as much as the server wanted. And I'm a firm believer that people generally should tip just because servers do need their money, but you should also tip based on service. Like, that's how I feel. I always tip based on service. My wife always just tips 20% for some reason, I don't know. But personally, me, like if I get spectacular service, I'm leaving the biggest tip that I can afford, period. You know, if you give me crummy ass service, like, yeah, I'm gonna give you $5. Like, you know, but then again, even that's conditional. Like, if I can see that the crummy service isn't your fault, it's because you're so swamped, you're so busy, like you're doing the best you can, you're trying to attend to my table as the best that you can, like, then I'm still gonna give a good tip. It's just that simple. But when this person has a bummy attitude, is rude as hell, treats you like garbage when you're supposed to be treated like a customer, a valued patron of the establishment, like, yeah, a 10% tip is probably going to be the max. Okay, like I feel like that might even be too generous. It is ridiculous that she lost her marbles over that. It's absurd. I mean, there was a lady who wasn't tipped enough by their like DoorDash driver or something, and she came back and like robbed this woman. Like it was crazy, like at gunpoint, I'm pretty sure, and got arrested and is now serving jail time for that, or will be serving jail time soon. I don't remember the full story, but yeah. Anyway, that's my thoughts on that. So again, I feel like this isn't super controversial, so a lot of the comments also say similar things to what I just said, so we'll just leave those for now. Instead, I would like to know what you guys think, so please leave those comments in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys next time.